This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 9, Episode 28, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on YouTube, and I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we talk about Washington sports and life as part of the mighty Rick Snyder Washington Empire. 5 million views last year, 15 million since we started the show. I don't know what you people are watching, but thanks for coming along. All right, Matt, we always pick the game on Thursday right off, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. I'll say Dallas 35, Washington 10.
Yeah, Dallas has something to play for. I'll do 38-17.
Ooh, gonna be a shootout. All right. I mean, at this point, who scores? Who cares?
Right.
But a 4:30 game, 4:25, something like that. Thanks, TV. So make it work.
Thanks for that, guys.
Yeah, it's maybe bad weather in town Saturday, maybe too. So that ought to make it interesting. But all the Cowboy fans will be frozen when they're sitting in the stadium, which will be all pretty much anybody who cares is be Cowboys fans. All right, so much for the game. Last game of the season, thank goodness. If Washington loses and a whole bunch of other things happen, they get to keep the number 2 overall pick. At worst, they'd be 3 if they lose. I'm not even going to go down all the scenarios, but they're there. So at 2, you can get a quarterback if you want. I do not want to see him get Caleb. I think he has bust written on him.
Yep.
So to me, but there are lots of people who do. That's the thing. Here's the thing with the NFL draft. Coaches and GMs see what they want to see. Now, Caleb's got some red flags about his mental game, about him being a selfish player at times. I hear all this stuff. You know they hear all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And yet, they don't want to listen to it. Oh, we can change it. Don't worry. It won't be a problem here. Over and over, square peg, round hole situation, and it busts all the time. For instance, I've also been saying they're going to need to pick a GM. Right now, you can't talk to anybody in front offices, including scouts. And the thing with scouts, now you figure Washington, when they make moves on Black Monday, probably the 2 Martys are gone too. But the team scouts are under contract through the draft so that you don't spend months on commander's dime and take that intelligence down the street to someone else.
Right.
You employed, and that's a fair thing to do, I think. Now, you can hire new people that weren't scouts elsewhere, and they'll probably have some of that too. But, Rivera has always reached for players in his 4 drafts and got nothing out of it practically. I mean, Dotson, he's invisible anymore with what's going on there. Forbes, Jamin Davis is hurt. I mean, because they reach for things. Mm-hmm. Me, if you got somebody willing to trade up to 2 and they're still in the top 6 or 8, I make the trade and take tackle.
Yeah, and that's my ideal scenario. The Patriots are right behind you. They are probably going to take a quarterback depending on what happens there. With the Belichick regime, they're talking about maybe changing, Belichick's leaving or something like that. You look at a team like the Raiders, I think they're in 6th or something like that, or maybe they might actually be higher now that they've been winning. But that's also a team that is very likely to take a quarterback. Obviously the Jimmy Garoppolo experiment has failed. They're not going to have Aiden O'Connell as their starter next year. So that's a team to kind of watch. If they're still in that top 5, top 6, 7 range, and they come calling and they give you a couple extra picks, I think you take that one because, Rick, ideally, Caleb Williams, like you said, there's too many red flags. And I'm sorry, I know the report came out last week that the Washington brass is very high on Caleb Williams. Well, who? Marty, and Ron? Well, they're not going to be here. So they can be as high on Caleb Williams as they want. They're not making the pick. So obviously tone out all that noise. But, if it all depends on what the Bears do. Number 1, I still say they probably are going to go offensive line or they're going to snatch Marvin Harrison Jr. but with a team like the Raiders, if they want to come up and they want to go with Caleb, or they want to go Drake May, or they want the kid from LSU that won the Heisman, if they're still in that 6 or 7 range and they are going to give up a decent amount of picks for you to move back, there are still 3 very good left tackles in this draft that are going to go in the top 10. The kid from Penn State, the kid from Bama, and then there's another kid from Notre Dame, the kid from Notre Dame. You could still land one of those top tier left tackles and move back and acquire more picks. And we all talk about it. This team needs the big reset. It needs the big we don't need to retool. We need to rebuild. And that's the way to do it. I mean, plus we've had 2 second overall picks within the last couple years, and both those guys turned out to be busts. So let's try and stay away from the number 2 pick.
Yeah, I was just looking up the Redskins really reformed one year by their draft so much, and it was 81. Okay, 1981. Mark May is the first pick, and they're number 20. All right, they don't have a second rounder. The third round is Russ Grimm. The 5th round is Dexter Manley. The 8th round is Charlie Brown. The 9th round is Daryl Grant. The 12th round still is Clint Didier. I mean, you got 5 good guys out of that draft.
Mm-hmm.
Where you draft, it's who's drafting, that makes a difference. And that was Beathard's great thing. Plus, they got Joe Jacoby as an undrafted free agent.
Mm-hmm.
If you had 3 hogs, in one draft, that was just
and
amazing.
I tell you what, you talk about GM. Obviously, they're going to. I do believe Marty and Marty are gone. I know the report came out that Josh Harris likes Marty Hurney, and he's been asking Marty Hurney questions on stuff like that. I do believe that he is going to let Marty and Marty go. But when interviewing general managers, if in your previous history it says Baltimore, you need to sign whoever he is. I don't care if it's the guy that prints out the draft sheets on Sunday during the draft. That kid had to have learned something, because I don't know how Baltimore does it every single year with guys that you don't know, just guys that you don't know. And they found him in the 5th round of this draft and the 5th round of that draft, and this guy was cut by another team, and now he's going to the Pro Bowl. If they have anything to do with the Baltimore Ravens franchise, they need to be in DC.
If we cut every player in the NFL loose and said, start over, go through, get who you want, the best teams would still be the best teams, because they know how to build teams. Mm-hmm. And this place has just been a disaster for so long. And the current, group, there's some okay guys that they've gotten, but you need more than that. You need some studs, especially as high as they drafted. So to me, what I would do right now, because you can't hire a GM, you can't talk to people until the season's over next week, or if they're in the playoffs, that's a little bit different. I get a crew of investigators. I would have got them 2 weeks ago and said, here's my 5 names. Go research everything about these guys so that I don't come on and suddenly we find out, we've named them, and then Rick Snyder is saying, this guy's did this. All right, make sure you get them clean, take out any red flag guys. That's what you do right now. Now, next Monday, if some guys are free, you start scheduling those GM ones right away, not the coach ones. I know everybody's like, I get the coach. No, you got to get the GM first, because if he hates the coach. Now, the only time I've seen it really work well, Gibbs and Beathard were co-workers. And I actually asked people about this close in there, and I said, were they best of friends? They go, well, they were friends, but they were each, their own kingdom back then. Yep. And, I get the one about Jacoby, Gibbs didn't want him. Beathard said, you're going to play him anyway. That's how it works at its best level.
Yep.
Now, analytics, I don't know. You can go play with your little spreadsheets all you want. I don't care. Football is about punching somebody in the mouth. It's about those big fat guys in the middle of the game banging on each other. That's what wins. I don't know what analytics is going to tell you about that. This team, you need heart, you need big guys in the middle. And then we talk about quarterback and other skills.
Yeah, and I just pulled up a mock draft on Tankathon. It still has us in the 2nd pick as of today. That has the Commanders taking Drake May. But right now, the Raiders are in pick 11, and it has them going with the offensive tackle from Alabama. It has the kid from Penn State going to the Giants, and then the Joe Alt from Notre Dame going 6 to the Chargers. So right there in the top 11, there's 3 offensive tackles. It's basically whichever one is going to fit your new coach's style of play, I guess you could say. So I wouldn't personally go as far back as 11. I feel like that might be a little bit too far. But realistically, I mean, anybody else that wants to trade for a quarterback, I mean, maybe the Falcons. That's 9.
Yeah, Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, he threw
Yeah.
3 picks yesterday and got benched.
Oh, poor Taylor.
Yeah, it has the Bears with Caleb, us with Drake May, Jaden Daniels going to the Patriots, Marvin Harrison going to the Cardinals. Really, nobody inside the top 10 aside from maybe. Yeah, I don't see anybody. Maybe the Jets want to go from 8 to 2 to snatch up the guy to take over for Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know.
Yeah, the NFL is such a flock of birds that everybody follows the leader. It's groupthink.
Yep.
The NFL Combine's in about 6 weeks from now. And while everybody, of course, you can't believe a word anybody says at this time of year now. Forget it. Lying is not a sin according to the NFL.
No.
But they'll all start talking stuff up. And some quarterback's going to move up after the combine. They all go, ooh, now what in the world's going on at the combine? It makes you change your mind about him. What is 40 time? His answers to whatever. I mean, it's
how he looks in shorts and a t-shirt. I mean, That's really all it is. It's the underwear Olympics.
It's your chance to interview. And this is where they should hire old scribes like me. I know how to interview people and get to what I need. They're asking stupid questions like, is your mom a hoe or something?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
What kind of craziness is that? Because they don't know how to ask questions. I can size up people right away. It did take me a whole 10 seconds to know Bruce Allen was a tool, but I did let him finish his first sentence before I figured it out. That's what you should be doing. But like I said, they don't want to see that. They want to see what they want to see. They may have you on a board to draw a play to see if you're smart enough, that you know a playbook.
Mm-hmm.
But you should know all that before the NFL Combine. And then don't take turns just trying to outsmart each other for a while and say, oh, yeah, we're looking at Caleb Williams when they're really looking to trade or whatever to try and make the team that really wants Caleb pay more.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Danny kept getting screwed because Danny's didn't know what he was doing and they all suckered him too often.
Yep.
So it's going to play the same game again. I expect. I'd be a little surprised if it didn't walk away with a quarterback because they also sell tickets. And while the team got up some better this year, they just fallen flat on their face. I mean, I heard customer service stories today online. Everybody was driving through the gold line when whatever. You break my heart. Oh, they didn't have half price hot dogs this week for me. And, whatever. Okay, I laughed at one of my friends had their tray table, and she goes, "It's still dripping on my table." I said, "Hey, it's not raining out. That ain't rainwater coming on you."
Nope. That's doo-doo. That's doo-doo water.
Yeah, still work to be done out there. But
all right, but here's the question. Obviously, like you said, quarterback is the selling point. That's the guy you can hang his jersey in the Commander's store. That's the guy that you could put on the Sunday game plan magazine, and it's the guy you put on the tickets and the guy that you tote out as the new franchise. Can this franchise draft one of these top 3 offensive tackles and trot you almost made me say Taylor Heineke, trot Sam Howell out there next year, and will fans still be excited? Is there a way that they can put a spin on this to say, okay, look, our offensive line last year sucked and was Swiss cheese. We've done things to correct that. For now, we're going to give Sam another chance because, look, Sam's not a bad quarterback. Is he a franchise quarterback? That remains to be seen. But is he serviceable? I mean, Rick, you've got to look. You sat at home Sunday and watched football. There are some bad quarterbacks that start in this league right now, and Sam is definitely not at the bottom of that list. Plus, he's still on his rookie deal. That's a guy that you don't have to pay right now while you supplement around him.
Yeah, I think you can still sell it. There's enough people. If you say, I got an offensive line and I'm going to, we're going to do this. There's enough. We got rid of EB. He didn't know how to handle Sam. A month ago they said he was the savant, but whatever. I think you can get away with it for a year and then see how Sam does with maybe a little protection and
Yeah,
such.
because if you bring in an offensive line and maybe you get obviously Gibson is going to walk, so you have to get someone. You have to bring in another name running back. I know Chris Rodriguez is liked by Ron and company, but we don't know what the new regime is going to do with him. If you can bring in, you have a Brian Robinson as your starter. If you can bring in someone that is speedy and can make plays out of the backfield like Gibson was supposed to, hell, maybe even bring in another wide receiver that's a decent name that they can get in free agency, and somebody that can actually catch touchdowns in the end zone besides Terry McLaurin, because Curtis Samuel's probably going to walk. We haven't seen enough out of Diami and Dotson to really know what they are on this team. If you supplement around Sam with line and skill position, I think that's enough of a distraction for a year to say, hey, we're rolling with Sam for another year. We're going to see what he has, and then maybe if we all fall flat on our face this year, next year we go out and get our quarterback.
This team didn't finish 4-13 because of the quarterback. They finished because of the defense.
Yeah.
That's the real truth of that.
Which is sad too, considering how much this defense has been invested in the draft.
But you got to pick an offensive player with that first pick.
You have to. I think the city will be on fire if they don't take an offensive player.
Yeah. All right. Black Monday's coming up. We'll probably have a show on Tuesday because I'm going to be too busy Monday.
Yeah.
Things. But there's going to be a lot to talk about for the next month. We won't go away until they've picked all the bodies they're going to pick. Who knows? It's going to take a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes a week or two to get a coach, and maybe if they're on the playoffs, got to wait longer.
Yeah.
But
I know you had kind of hinted at they like the kid Johnson from Detroit, and we saw what happened with Detroit Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, they could be one and out. I don't know. I've seen the matchups. There's a lot of teams that are peaking at the right time that weren't the best teams, like Philly. Is there. San Francisco's still vulnerable. I mean, you get some hot teams like the Rams. Like that. I think people like that, Buffalo. Those teams could shock you come January. So, and then we'll see what coaches are ready to go. I tell them, don't panic, make the right pick.
I think ideally for coaching, my personal number one on the list, if he's available, would be Sean McVay.
Oh yeah, if you get Sean McVay, yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be if I was the owner and the GM. And Sean McVay is available via trade with the Rams or whatever, because the Rams are on their way down. He's got an aging quarterback in Matthew Stafford that we don't know if he's going to be back next year because he's injured. Maybe he's looking to make a change. He's the prodigal son coming back to where he started his coaching career. He's already won a Super Bowl. He's only 37 years old. Like, this kid's been a coach for 10 years and he's only 37. Like, this is the type of team that he inherited with the Rams. That he comes back over here, he figures it out. Like, that's the ideal situation for me is if McVay is available. I'm sure this guy Johnson is going to be a good head coach in the league, but I don't think that this team necessarily needs a first year head coach. You know what I mean? Like, or a first time head coach. I think this team is veteran enough to where if you brought in a McVay type, then this team could succeed with them.
Well, I think you're going to have 30 new players on the 53-man.
Oh, roster. I agree with that. Yeah.
Veteran they will be, but
I mean, ideally, who are they keeping? I mean, obviously Terry. I hope they keep Sam, Brian Robinson. I mean, who obviously Payne and Allen because of their contracts. I don't think you can move them. There's not many people that are going to be in that starting 22.
Yeah, new secondary, could be new linebackers, defensive end. Probably 3 people on the line, maybe offensively. Need another running back. Could add another receiver. You need at least 2 more tight ends. Probably Jacoby Brissett's probably going to sign elsewhere, so you need a backup quarterback. Yeah, there's a few new people coming in on all of this. We'll see. I guess they keep the snapper they had. He hadn't blown it yet. It's crazy. All right. Well, we're done until next Tuesday, so we'll see. There'll be a lot going on. We'll be around.
Yeah, that'll be a long show for sure.
Yeah,
if I had to bet, that's going to be a long one.
Yeah, I might do a long podcast on that one or the live. Maybe we should do the live stream if we can figure out how to do that.
Yeah, we could.
Do the Monday night show. All right. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent with your hosts, Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.